everyone, it's Misty here. Welcome back to another episode of Fannie Friday. Thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's video, I'm going to be working with Blanche from our most recent Golden Girls release. If you missed it, the release went live last week, and we have physical stamps of Dorothy, Blanche, and Rose, and then an adorable digital stamp of Sophia. You're not going to want to miss out on her, and all of that is linked in the description box down below. So I am doing one last Christmas card. I am doing one last Christmas card for 2022 before we make our way into 2023. And I am just coloring Blanche. I'm going to be coloring her wearing a purple outfit. And as you could probably see from the thumbnail, I'm going to be putting her in front of a pink tree, etc. But before we get into that, I will have all of the colors I've used, etc. listed in the description box down below. And this will be the last Fannie Friday until the 30th. So there won't be one next week. And that's because I have a really fun video planned for the end of the year. And I think you guys are going to love it. So if you haven't already, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Make sure you check out the Facebook group. We're going to be having our first event on January 28th. And that will be in the Facebook group, and you're not going to want to miss it. We also have new friends joining the team. So all of the information will be coming soon. So for her hair, she has light kind of auburn brunette hair, but I went ahead and went a bit more saturated with her hair in this, just because I'm using deep jewel tone, like a deep jewel tone for her outfit, and I really didn't want it to wash her out. So if you missed it, when I did the release preview video, I mentioned that Rue McClanahan and I are actually from the same area in southern Oklahoma. So that was pretty cool. And I never knew. And I'd never seen her in anything else before seeing her in the Golden Girls. But the Golden Girls was such a fun show and so kind of ahead of its time and relevant even to this day. So it's still real funny to watch. And yeah, I can remember having cheesecake for the very first time and be like, oh, that's why they always wanted to have a cheesecake. I get it now. So for her hair, Anna's drawn in lots of great lines and folds and curls, and I'm just kind of going with the flow. I am only using 3 colors. If it was a little bit longer or if her head was a little bit bigger, I may have used a 4th, but I decided to just go with these 3. And again, I will have the colors listed in the description box down below. This is probably one of my more favorite kind of auburn brunette colors. Color stories, combo of colors. I know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully you guys know what I'm trying to say too. Oh my word, my brain. So if you missed it, the design team had a ton of amazing samples with not only this stamp, but the rest of them. And you can check those out either in the Facebook group, on any of the other social media platforms, or again, I share those in our release videos. So I think Blanche was the more kind of out there, but also the more conservative of the few, which was kind of a dichotomy, I feel like. But I think it really it still kind of speaks of the South, right? Those of us who are from the South or in the southern states probably still feel some of that. So for her outfit, I am using violets. My one complaint about Copics is I feel like they don't have a really good purple selection. Like I feel like I want other purples, but here we are. So I'm using V09, V17, and V15. And again, I will have the colors listed in the description box down below. I'm just barely going over where the lines are with the darkest color and then working my way to the lightest. So that's how I like to color, darkest to lightest. And then I go back over a couple of times. So I brought in this lightest color and then I decided that I didn't like it. And so I went ahead and just colored over it, which is great about Copics. You can just kind of go back over it. And you can see here, it's just kind of, it's kind of light. And I'm like, no, I really wanted something a bit more rich and vibrant because I'm going to be putting her in front of a pink Christmas tree, and not a pale pink Christmas tree either. We're going all out with a pink Christmas tree. So I wanted both her outfit and the tree to be very, very vibrant. I mean, I don't think they had a pink Christmas tree, and maybe that wasn't even a thing back then, but I thought it would be fun and a little different, right? Especially they're in Florida, you know, people do things differently in Florida, or so I've been told, or so I've heard. I didn't really think a Disney tree fit with her, but it could have, I guess. And I went ahead and actually used a sentiment from her stamp rather than pulling in a Christmas sentiment. I thought about it, but I was like, you know what? I hope your day is golden. That could be used as a Christmas. That could be used as maybe a New Year's. It could even be like a Valentine's Day, because I know some people put up Valentine's Day trees. It could be for a birthday. It could actually be for a lot of different things. And so that's how I like to do my sentiments. A lot of times I will leave cards without sentiments, just because that way I can throw a sentiment on it when I'm ready to send it, and I don't have to worry about like taking it off, etc. And sometimes I feel like cards can be, I mean, unless it's like a Santa Claus, that's pretty much Christmas. But if you're doing a snowflake or like a snowman, or if you're doing, you know, just a different scene, those can always be used for other things. So once I finished coloring her, I brought in a white Jelly Roll pen, and that was to kind of fix where I'd gotten out of the lines. And then this is a Micron brush pen. I just bought the set a few years ago. They are archival, so they won't smear. And I like the brush tip to fill in her eyes. And then this is I want to say they're called sparkle pens from Jelly Roll. And I'm just kind of dotting in some sparkles on her outfit to make it look like sequins. And then I color her belt and buckle in with this as well. Really pretty, really fun. So I bring the die in and I put the die on, and I get this through my die cut machine, and I get it out, and I realized the die had shifted. So you're going to see me, I went ahead and used my scissors to fussy cut off the excess white. And then this is just a brush marker. I'm using a water-based brush marker from the back to cover up the white lines where I had cut it out, so you couldn't really tell that it's cut out. And then for the center part of her outfit, I went ahead and cut it out some with scissors, but also went around it with the black marker as well. So now we're going to make the Christmas tree. So I have a piece of white paper that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This is the Christmas tree from the Holidayville Grab and Go box. Unfortunately, it's no longer available, but if you have it, this is a good way that you can use it. And I am just doing a light layer of pink, and it already looks pink because I wanted to make sure that this would work. And then I had to, I actually stenciled onto a piece of removable label paper, and then I cut around it to make a mask because I want to make a 1-layer card. So then I'm going to bring in this month's stencil, and I am going to be putting down just the lightest base layer. I'm using Moon Rock, and then I will have to remember to put the green in the description. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's the darker of the three. And then I'm just trying to make sure that because I have several blending brushes beside me, I'm like, I have to make sure I'm using the right one. I am awful at that, just FYI. But again, I'm just putting on a very light base color because I'm not going to make the walls or the walls either at the top or the bottom very dark. For the wainscoting, I am going to be using that same gray, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. I didn't use brown because I don't like brown. I honestly don't like brown. Like, there's no brown anywhere in my house. Well, I take that back. Our dining room table is brown, but that's it. Like, my neutral is gray. We have some tiles that are like a light beige, but I am more of a fan of gray than I am of brown. And I didn't want to just leave it plain white, and I didn't want to do it with like blue or something because I felt like that would look, with the pink, I felt like it would pull too blue. So I'm going to be doing 2 layers of stenciling for the wallpaper. And again, I am using this one green, and I'm doing light in some areas. I'm doing darker in other areas. And then once I've done this, I'm actually going to flip it around, and I'm going to add more going from the top down. And then I will end up trimming that last couple piece. And this is why I left it 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 rather than cutting it already down to a 4 by 5 1/4 layer. And I really love how this wallpaper turned out. We only have wallpaper in one room. In our master, we just had our master bath redone back in February, and I really struggled with a wall color because we were doing aqua tile. We have aqua vanities, and so I decided we were going to do a stencil, like a wall stencil, because our dining room is a stencil. So, but I decided on white pattern wallpaper. It's actually paintable if you want to. Like when you guys see me in front of the blue thing behind me, that's actually the wallpaper we're using in the bathroom, except we've left it white. So that's the only place we have wallpaper, but we did do I shouldn't say we. My husband did a stencil in our dining room. It's houndstooth. We did flat on the walls, and then he did the stencil in semi-gloss, and I love it. Okay, for the tree. So I've just brought in RV09, and I've drawn some branches, and I am like flicking motions on either side of the branch. And you're like, Misty, this is the sparsest looking tree ever. Yeah, it is, but we're gonna add more, I promise. We're gonna add more in, I promise. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I mean, you don't have to put her in front of a tree, of course, but you could have used the other stencils to create something. But I knew that if I was going to do pink, it kind of needed to have pink branches, etc. So this is what I'm doing. So I used RV09, RV06, and RV04. And then I'm kind of just doing the same thing, drawing lines, flicking back and forth, kind of like in a V motion, and then just filling it in that way. And then I believe I may also bring RV02. I honestly can't remember. I know I brought in a really light color to help me fill it in, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But I really, really love how this turned out. I like the different shades of pink. I like having the base color there to kind of help me get through it. And here you see me just adding more lines and just flicking back and forth. And I love this. I've done a few cards on my Jolly Fit Elf channel where I did one probably 2 or 3 years ago now, where I had a sloth on an ornament under a Christmas tree. And I had the best time making that little Christmas tree. And it was just branches, and it was mostly this, just flicking different greens back and forth. And I had so much fun with it. It's always fun to just kind of stretch your imagination. It's just paper. If you screw up, you can start again. So give it a go, especially if you don't want like a traditional green. Now, if I were doing white, I would probably use like really light, either blue or BGs to do a white Christmas tree. But I really wanted her in front of a pink Christmas tree. Like I said, they probably didn't have one. I honestly can't remember very many Christmas episodes of the show, but I would want a purple Christmas tree. But we decorate with purple and silver, but I have a regular green tree. My husband, he drew the line. We also have white lights, which I hate, but that was another line. And I was like, I can concede. You're going to let me decorate with purple and silver? I will concede. So I went ahead and put some adhesive behind her to pop her up. And then I brought in just some little tiny rhinestones that I had and put those as ornaments on the tree. I stamped the sentiment, I hope your day is golden. I believe this is an amethyst. Again, everything will be linked down below. I'm going to kind of cut off the edges of each of these, and then I'm going to adhere this down with some more adhesive. Well, I mean, foam tape. Of course, you're going to hear it with adhesive, Misty. It is adhesive. And then once I do that, I'm going to bring in a Nouveau shimmer pen and add more shimmer. So I'm not going to go over her, her outfit, but I am going to go over, add it to her earrings, put it on the tree. And so this is water activated. I don't know if you realize that. So if I had done this with water markers, this would smear. But since I used alcohol markers, then it doesn't. So yeah, that's it, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate you. We hope you have a good day, night, weekend, wherever you are. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you on the 30th for another video. Bye for now.